At a quiet little church wrapped in soft sunlight, our girl Kaho stands still in front of the altar. The white dress she wears feels both familiar and strange, and for a moment her heart stirs with something bittersweet. This is the second time she is putting it on. She never thought she would wear it again. That thought lingers softly in her mind until a man suddenly appears beside her. He gently reaches for her hand and with a soft smile tells her how beautiful she looks. Just like that, even her quiet doubts begin to fade. Now we shift to a peaceful morning inside a modest apartment where Kaho, our lead, a 26-year-old novelist and article writer, is already up preparing breakfast. Meanwhile, her husband, Shinya, also 26, and a sales executive working at an advertising agency, is still dozing off, half asleep. She leans down, gently waking him. Moments later, he drags himself to the table, still looking like he has not fully returned to this world. Just as she sets the meal down, he suddenly says he is craving Japanese food instead of Western breakfast today. She blinks in surprise, asking softly if he wants her to cook something else instead. He sits down, rubbing his eyes, and tells her not to worry since he does not have time anyway. She lowers her gaze and apologizes, then promises to make Japanese cuisine for tomorrow. They both eat in quiet, the air between them calm but not quite warm. Soon he gets up to leave, but pauses as he looks at his shirt. With a sigh, he says it is wrinkled. She quickly apologizes, saying it must have been the way she hung it, but she adds that there is a clean shirt from the laundry. She will get it right away. He tells her to hurry. As she runs toward the wardrobe, a small ache settles in her chest. She thinks to herself how hard Shinya works in such a fast-paced environment. Advertising is a field she could never survive in, yet she respects him deeply for doing it. All she wants is to support him the best she can. Just as she grabs the shirt, she hears him calling again, asking her to be fast and also not to forget his lunch. She rushes over and hands him everything in time. But then, casually, he mentions that he will be eating out with his coworkers today. She puts on a smile and says all right, then adds softly for him to stay safe. As the door shuts behind him, she walks over to the shelf, picks up their wedding photo, and lets out a small sigh. Wedding ring and honeymoon, huh? They never had either of those. Shinya had been so caught up in work since the beginning that there had never been time. Lately, she has also been thinking about bringing up the idea of having a child. But each time, she swallows her words. She tells herself it is not the right time. Maybe when things calm down, maybe then. Shaking off the thought, she reminds herself she still has work to do. There are blog articles waiting to be written, and later, some proofreading too. Though she often dreams of prioritizing her role as a housewife, right now, commissioned blog posts are what pay the bills. She tries her best to balance it, writing novels in her spare time while taking care of the home. Still, she wonders quietly if trying to handle both careers and motherhood would just be too much. Maybe it is still too early. Later, at a cozy cafe tucked in the corner of town, we see her typing away at her laptop. A familiar voice calls out, and Hojo Iori appears, smiling gently with a cup of coffee in his hand. He is a bright, polite third-year university student, just 20 years old, working part-time at the cafe. He hands her the drink and apologizes for being late. She thanks him and, feeling a bit guilty, also apologizes for always lingering so long at the cafe. But Iori quickly says she is always welcome anytime. She smiles softly, thinking to herself how sweet he is, always treating her kindly, even though she is just a plain woman with glasses and tired eyes. The cafe manager suddenly pops in, teasing Iori to stop bothering customers while they are working. She chuckles and says she is on a break, and besides, Iori only talks to her a little. The manager just shrugs, saying Iori is always in a good mood when she is around. Iori turns a little red and tells the manager to stop. It is embarrassing. She laughs quietly and says he is acting like a child now. Honestly, it is kind of cute. As she finishes up her work for the day, she starts gathering her things. She thinks it is time to head home and start preparing dinner. Then she pauses, wondering if she should stop by the store to grab some coffee beans. Shinya might be running low. Just as she is about to leave, the manager casually asks if she wears her glasses all the time. She nods and asks why. He says that earlier, when she had them off for a bit, he could not help but wonder how pretty she would look with contact lenses. Before she can even respond, Iori cuts in, saying quickly that she does not need anything like that because she is already really beautiful and a truly wonderful woman. That catches her off guard. Her eyes widen and her cheeks flush faintly. The manager raises an eyebrow and asks if Iori is trying to flirt with her. The boy stammers, saying no, absolutely not. She laughs it off, grabs her things, and says goodbye. Iori waves and tells her to be careful on her way home. She nods and steps outside, still thinking about what just happened. She never expected Iori to say something like that. Are college students these days just naturally that smooth? She shakes her head, still flustered, and her phone buzzes. It is a message from her old friend Misaki, asking if she is free to grab something to eat. They meet up not long after, and Misaki dives into her usual venting. She says her boyfriend has zero interest in marriage, and she is already reaching the age where waiting around is not an option. Misaki is the same age as her, 26, and they have been friends since college. She also works in the same company as Shinya. Kaho listens patiently and finally says it would be nice if Misaki's boyfriend understood her feelings a bit better. Misaki sighs and then apologizes for always dumping her problems. She adds with a smile that Kaho never complains about Shinya. Your marriage must be perfect. Then she tells her that Shinya has been doing really well at work lately. He was even put in charge of an important project. Kaho responds with a small nod and a quiet, I see. But inside, something feels a little heavy. Still, she tells herself it is good. Shinya's efforts are being recognized. He is appreciated. He works hard. Later that evening, as she walks home, she wonders if Shinya might already be there. But just when she turns the corner, she stops. Her eyes widen. There he is, Shinya, standing beside another woman. And just like that, our girl Kaho feels the world shift beneath her feet. Our girl Kaho stands frozen, her heart racing as she watches Shinya walk by with another woman, her eyes darting between them. Who is that woman clinging to his arm? Definitely not a friend, right? Her mind races, but she quickly tries to calm herself. It can't be what it looks like, right? She remembers how Shinya has always been surrounded by women, even back in high school. He was the popular guy, constantly surrounded by female friends. Even while dating, there were rumors about him with other girls. She had told herself it was nothing, but now, seeing this, it feels like a slap in the face. She turns around troubled and tells herself not to jump to conclusions. She'll ask him when he gets home. Maybe they were just being playful or drunk. She hopes she's misunderstood. Still, a nagging feeling in her stomach won't go away. What if he's having an affair? Finally, Shinya returns home. Our girl Kaho waits by the door, her hands shaking. As he walks past her, she catches an unfamiliar scent. Why didn't she notice it before? Could this really be happening? Could Shinya be cheating on her? She never allowed herself to even think about it until now, but the scent is a harsh reminder. Her heart sinks as she gathers the courage to speak up. Shinya, I need to ask you something. Our guy looks at her, his exhaustion clear. What is it? Make it quick, I'm tired. She takes a deep breath. I saw you walking with a woman today. Who was she? He shrugs dismissively. She's just a coworker, but doubt lingers in her mind. Is that really all she is? She presses. I followed you because I wanted to know. His eyes narrow in disgust. Are you serious? Are you following me around like some creepy stalker now? Her heart drops at his words. What are you saying? Her voice cracks. I'm going to bed. I'm tired, he says, walking away. She's left stunned. Is he admitting it? She reaches out for him. We're not done talking yet. He pulls away, his voice sharp. What more do you want to say? Do you want me to apologize? He sneers. I'm not the only one doing this kind of thing. Stop making a big deal out of nothing. She's left speechless, feeling like the ground has been ripped out from under her. He sighs. You should be grateful. You married a man like me, a boring woman like you. You're winning in life. His words sting. She's too shocked to respond. She remembers how they met in high school. She was plain while he was popular. They had nothing in common at first, but then they worked together on the student council. That's when things changed. She asked him once why he married her, and he said it was because she made him feel comfortable. But now, her world is unraveling. Shinya interrupts her thoughts, his voice dripping with sarcasm. You didn't say anything before, so I thought you were the type of woman who didn't care about this stuff. Our girl's eyes well up, but she doesn't cry. I wanted to marry someone who was generous and sensible, she says, her voice firm despite the sadness. Someone who wouldn't cheat on me. Shinya gives her a cold look. I'm not the only one doing this. I'll stop when I hit 30. Let me have my fun while I'm still young. Our girl's world shatters. She never thought she would hear him say those words. So, if I begged you to stop, you still wouldn't? She asks quietly. Shinya shrugs, indifferent. I don't like being tied down. If you keep complaining, we can always get a divorce. His words cut deeper than she thought possible. Then let's do it, she says, her voice low but steady. He turns away without a second glance, muttering, Fine, whatever, before heading into their bedroom. Our girl stands there, frozen in the silence. She feels as if her whole life has come crashing down around her. She thought she had everything figured out. Now she's left to wonder what her next step will be. Will she find the strength to walk away, or will she stay and continue to fight for something that might never be the same? Our girl Kaho stands firm, meeting Shinya's surprised gaze. Are you serious? He asks, his voice full of disbelief. She doesn't falter, looking at him with unwavering certainty. He scoffs, muttering that it was a mistake to marry her, and slams the door behind him. Just like that, the relationship they built over 10 years ends with shocking speed. The next morning, our girl wakes up to find Shinya already gone for work. She breathes a sigh of relief, her mind already racing. I can't keep going like this, she tells herself. Once the divorce happens, I'll have to leave the house. It's under Shinya's name anyway. She sits on the couch, lost in thought, reflecting on everything. The relationship had lost its spark, but she thought it was just a phase. If only she had known what was on his mind, maybe things would have been different. But she tells herself to stop dwelling on it. No point crying over spilled milk. That night, Shinya returns home, and our girl greets him quietly, asking if he's eaten. He glances at the food on the table and takes a seat. She hesitates, then asks if she can stay until she finds her own place. He gives a half-hearted shrug. Do whatever you want, he says dismissively. She then pulls out the divorce papers and asks him to fill them out. As for the division of property, I'm fine if I don't get anything, she adds. His eyes flash with fury and disgust. Are you trying to make yourself look good? He snaps. It's too late for regrets. I'm not changing my mind. Our girl feels a surge of frustration. She tells him to stop, her voice breaking. She doesn't want to tarnish their memories any more than they already have been. She remembers when she first fell in love with him, when she decided to marry him and support him. She doesn't want to deny her past decisions, but she tells him firmly, I'm doing this for me, not for you. Stop being cruel. She doesn't want to think that she made a mistake by marrying him in the first place. The next morning, our girl wakes up feeling like she hasn't slept at all. Her eyes are heavy, but she gets up to check her phone. A message from Misaki lights up the screen. Want to hang out tonight? Our girl smiles, grateful for the distraction. But then, she remembers her real estate appointment and the work she still needs to finish. After meeting with the agent and finishing her work, she still goes out with Misaki. On the way home, she feels a pang of guilt. She didn't tell Misaki about the divorce. She feels like she should have been more honest with her friend. Later, our girl gets a call from her older brother. She answers, trying not to worry him. I'm fine, she tells him, knowing she'll have to tell him the truth eventually. He insists that they meet up soon when he's less busy, reminding her not to overwork herself. After the call, she feels a bit better, but still unsure about everything. The next morning, she looks at her reflection in the mirror. Her face is pale, and she looks like she hasn't slept in days. It's been a week of sleepless nights. Is this insomnia? She wonders, rubbing her tired eyes. Just then, Shinya walks in, and she feels a knot in her stomach. I need to talk to you, she says, her voice barely above a whisper. He watches her, waiting for her to speak. I found a new place, but I won't be able to move in for another 3 months, she tells him. Is that okay? He turns to leave without a second glance. I don't care, he mutters before walking out. Our girl sighs in relief, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. She heads outside, ready to start her day. As she walks, she finds herself lost in thought, imagining what she wanted from her marriage, children around the dining table. Then she hears her name. She turns and sees Iori standing there. "What's wrong?" he asks, his eyes full of concern. Our girl quickly wipes away the tears from her eyes and turns to face Iori. "What are you doing here?" she asks, her voice trembling slightly. Iori, fresh from his part-time job, tells her he was on his way home and noticed her. He admits he's been worried since he hasn't seen her around lately. She apologizes, telling him she's been busy, but guilt weighs on her as she lies. "I can't stay in such a warm place anymore," she thinks, feeling conflicted. Iori studies her, noticing something off about her smile. He asks if there's a problem, since it doesn't seem quite like her usual self. She wonders how he noticed, as no one else has. She quickly lies, saying it's because she hasn't had the manager's coffee in a while, and that it drained her energy. Iori smiles and tells her the manager will be happy to hear that. Then he asks if she's eaten, inviting her to have dinner with him. Our girl hesitates, feeling a twinge of guilt, and suggests he invite his girlfriend instead. He laughs and assures her he doesn't have a girlfriend, adding that eating alone would be too lonely. She reluctantly agrees, and they end up going together. To her surprise, Iori has a more forceful side to him than she expected, and she finds herself taken aback by his childish laughter. They arrive at the restaurant and are told their private room is ready. "Private room?" our girl asks, feeling out of place as she looks around. Iori notices and asks if she likes places like this. She admits she's not used to such fancy spots, feeling nervous. He apologizes for inviting her so suddenly, asking about her husband's dinner plans. She assures him it's fine for tonight. Then he asks if she drinks alcohol, mentioning he doesn't drink much himself. She agrees to toast with juice to celebrate their shared preferences. As they chat, our girl starts to feel a little lighter. She thanks him for making her smile again, feeling surprised that someone younger than her could be so thoughtful. The meal arrives, and she takes a bite, amazed at how good it tastes. Iori watches her with a happy smile, commenting that she always looks so happy when she eats, just like when she's at the cafe. She tries not to blush, but can't help thinking how kind and considerate he is. She feels comfortable around him, like she can finally relax and sleep well for the first time in ages. After finishing their meal, Iori thanks her for accompanying him. She thanks him in return for the treat, feeling much more energetic than before. As they leave, he asks where she lives and offers to escort her home. Our girl, recalling that Shinya has never offered to do the same, agrees this time. They walk together, and when they arrive at her place, she thanks him for walking her home. He smiles and asks if he can invite her out again sometime. She agrees, telling him it would be nice. As he waves goodbye and walks away, she feels a strange sense of sobriety settle over her, and Iori notices. Our girl Kaho watches as Shinya steps out of a taxi, arm linked with a woman. She feels a pang of shyness and can barely stand to see them together. When they pass by the apartment building, she instinctively hugs Iori, seeking comfort. Her heart sinks, and she apologizes to him, feeling helpless. Iori, still confused, glances at her and asks if the man who just passed was her husband. He asks again, "Who's the woman with him?" Our girl stays quiet, and he finally speaks. "Shinya is cheating on you." Her sadness deepens, and she replies, "It's fine. We're getting divorced soon. I can't stop him no matter what he does." The weight of her words hangs in the air as she admits, "We're not husband and wife anymore." The next morning, our girl wakes up with a strange sense of comfort, as if she's had a peaceful dream. As she's about to put on her glasses, Iori enters the room holding a glass of water. "Are you okay?" he asks. She looks around, still disoriented, and he tells her, "You're in my house. You fainted in front of your place last night." She apologizes, but he shakes his head. "I should be the one apologizing. I invited you out without realizing how tired you were." She thanks him for everything, grateful for his kindness and for letting her rest in his place. As she gets ready to leave, Iori stops her, his concern evident. "Could you go back to your ex-husband and his new partner's place like this?" he asks, holding her gently. "I'm really worried about you. I won't be able to sleep if you leave in this state. Stay here and just rest. Stop thinking about anything for a while." Our girl, feeling both touched and overwhelmed, agrees and lies back down on the bed. She apologizes for the trouble, but Iori reassures her, telling her to just relax. Later, our girl wakes up again, and it feels like she's had the same comforting dream, a warm, gentle hand holding hers. She steps out of the room to find Iori waiting for her, greeting her with a smile. He asks if she slept well and serves her breakfast. She thanks him, takes a bite, and is surprised at how sweet the meal tastes. Iori watches her with a soft smile, happy to see her enjoying the food. After they finish, he cleans up and she watches him, thinking to herself how he'd make a great husband one day. She says aloud, "You'd make a great husband." The moment shifts, and his mood changes as he asks, "Are you still living with your ex-husband?" Our girl hesitates before replying, "The divorce just happened. I've found a place, but I can't move in for another 3 months." Iori's eyes soften and he asks gently, "Would you like to stay with me for the time being?" Our girl looks at Iori in surprise, feeling a rush of warmth from his kindness. He tells her that there are spare rooms and suggests she stay with him, worried about her going back to her ex-husband's place. He quickly apologizes, realizing he might be moving too fast. But our girl, feeling touched, smiles warmly, thinking that Iori is truly a kind soul. It feels like she's gained a little brother, someone who cares so much about her. As she cleans the table, she decides she can't trouble him anymore and pretends to be fine, smiling and assuring him she's strong now. Iori watches her, happy to hear that but still concerned, urging her to promise not to overdo it. They continue with the chores together, the atmosphere calm and comfortable. A few minutes later, they sit in the living room and Iori, holding his phone, asks for her contact. Surprised they haven't exchanged numbers yet, our girl pulls out her phone. Iori, looking shy, reminds her about his earlier offer, telling her she can always call whenever she needs to and that she's always welcome. She agrees, thanking him with a smile. Later that evening, as night falls, our girl is absorbed in her work when she suddenly glances at the clock, realizing how quickly time has passed. She stretches, feeling the weight of stress, and yawns. Getting up, she heads to the kitchen to prepare dinner. As she cuts carrots and veggies, the door opens, and she hears voices. Stunned, she wonders who it could be. Turning around, she sees Shinya and his new lady. Shinya, looking annoyed, asks, "You here today?" The new lady, smiling brightly, apologizes for the intrusion. Our girl stands there, holding her hands together, trying to keep her composure. The lady asks if she's his wife, noting that she fits his description, but our girl remains silent. A wave of sadness hits her as the scene around her darkens, thinking about the hurtful things Shinya must have said about her. She apologizes quietly and walks out, her heart heavy. She steps into the park for some fresh air, but as she walks, she can't help but think about how well Shinya and his new lady look together. The woman is beautiful, youthful, someone truly worthy of being by his side. The comparison to herself makes her feel miserable. She tries to hold back the tears, reminding herself she's the one who suggested the divorce. But the tears fall anyway, and she feels an overwhelming sense of loneliness. Just then her phone rings. It's Iori. She answers, wiping away the tears, and with a shaky voice, she tells him she's fine. Iori, standing by his window, asks if she's crying, his concern evident. She looks up at the sky, lying, saying she's not crying, just a little cold. The breeze blows gently as he asks if she's outside, and she replies that she's on her way home. She thanks him for worrying and cuts the call. Despite her words, she continues crying, feeling loneliness like never before. Suddenly, she hears footsteps approaching. She looks up, her tear-streaked face meeting Iori's warm smile as he approaches, wearing a brown jacket. He's relieved to have finally found her. Sweating slightly, he smiles, glad to see she's okay. Our girl sits on the ground, her head resting on her knees, looking up at Iori with surprise. "What are you doing here?" she asks softly. Iori tells her that he heard the phone ring and the sound of the clock, and it was familiar, so he was able to find her. He pulls off his jacket and drapes it over her shoulders, covering her from the cold. She looks at him, eyes wide with surprise. Then, in a gentle yet firm voice, Iori asks her to come live with him. She turns away, avoiding eye contact, unsure of what to say. He waits patiently, then stretches his hand out to her. Confused, she wonders what he's doing, and then, with a soft smile, he lifts her in his arms. I had to be stronger for your sake, he says, looking at her with resolve. I can't leave you here alone. Even if I have to force you, I'll do it. Her eyes welled up with tears, but she tries to hold them back. Iori looks at her gently. Don't hold them in, he tells her. Cry as much as you need. I'm the only one here. He carries her out of the park, his warmth wrapping around her. At his house, they sit together and our girl apologizes, feeling like a burden. Iori smiles softly. There's no need to apologize. I did this willingly. She feels a pang of sadness, touched by his kindness. It hurts knowing she once had someone to cherish her, but now she feels so alone. Then Iori surprises her by confessing his feelings. I know I might not be what you expected, he says, holding her hand, but to me, you're more precious than anything. You're beautiful, inside and out. Our girl is stunned, her heart racing. She didn't see this coming. He gently pulls her closer, and they share a quiet hug, both gazing out the window. The next morning, our girl wakes up feeling a sense of relief, almost like a puppy curled up in warmth. Iori comes into the room with a smile, asking if she slept well. She jumps up, bending her head in apology, but he laughs, teasing her. I'll really have to forbid you from apologizing. He hands her a glass of water, asking how she's feeling. Better now, she responds. He then brings up their conversation from the night before, asking her if she's considered moving in with him. Our girl hesitates, and Iori looks at her, his voice soft but hopeful. Don't you want to live with me? He asks. She doesn't answer right away. Iori's expression turns more serious. I want to make you forget about your ex-husband, he says. I'll be here and I'll never let you feel lonely. Just give me a chance. Our girl is speechless for a moment, then softly nods. Okay, she says, and with that, their life together begins. Since moving in, she takes on most of the housework, feeling a sense of responsibility for her new life with Iori. Curious about his family, she asks him about his parents. He explains that the apartment is his father's, and that his dad works outside of Japan and doesn't involve himself much in Iori's life. She suggests he should contact his dad, but for now, life moves on with them living happily together. A few days later, she apologizes for bothering him to help her pick up her luggage. He reminds her, stop apologizing, and tells her he's happy to do it, as it feels like a dream to go on a drive date with her. She smiles, asking how long he's had his license. 2 years, he replies. I've always wanted to drive, so I got a temporary license on my 18th birthday to get behind the wheel as soon as possible. From our girl's perspective, it feels like he's still a child, relying on his parents for everything. But as they drive, he tells her with determination, I'll become a man who deserves more than anyone else. Their eyes meet, both lost in the moment. When they arrive, she thanks him for helping her, and he assures her that she can always ask for his help, no matter how small. Later, as he heads out for class, he waves goodbye, telling her he'll be back by 6. I'll make dinner, she promises, and he smiles, looking forward to it. Before he leaves, he hands her a spare key, telling her to be careful and that she can always use it. She takes it with a smile, grateful for his trust. That evening, as she's lying on the bed, she thinks about how she'll have to tell Shinya. She types him a message saying she's moved into a friend's place and that the spare key is in the mailbox. She feels a pang of sadness, unsure how things ended up this way. She sends the message, hoping for a response. Suddenly, her phone buzzes with a strange number calling. She's shocked and answers, wondering who it could be. Meanwhile, Shinya is seated in his office, his expression tense as he looks at his phone. He thinks about how our girl left with only her clothes and wallet, rushing out of the house, and how she hasn't come back. When his phone buzzes with the message she sent, he stares at it, not looking happy. Kanaori Shinya sits in his office, his thoughts swirling around him. After graduating from university, he quickly rose through the ranks of his advertising agency, gaining a reputation for his exceptional work. He's always had admirers, whether before or after marrying Kaho. Women have never been a problem for him. But today, as he sits at his desk during lunch break, his mind is consumed by her. He thinks back to the day she left, her wallet abandoned, rushing out of the house in nothing but home clothes. She never came back, and now a message from her lights up his phone. Shinya feels a pang of frustration, telling himself he shouldn't care. After all, as long as she's willing to move out, it's not his problem anymore. He tries to convince himself it's fine, but his mind drifts back to the divorce talk. Her blunt declaration that they should end things still stings. When she makes up her mind, she becomes recklessly stubborn. He can't help but remember how she told him she'd done something very stupid, and he tries to suppress any lingering worry. She's gone, he reminds himself, telling himself that it's for the best. There are plenty of women to replace her, he thinks. He even has someone new, Aika Rin, who's everything Kaho wasn't. Aika is stunning, with a personality that's charming, but she's not good at reading people, and that makes her difficult to connect with. A colleague walks by and asks if he wants to grab lunch. Shinya agrees, putting his thoughts aside for a moment. At the restaurant, they look over the menu, and Shinya can't help but think about the absurd prices. It reminds him of Kaho, but he quickly pushes the thought aside, convincing himself that Aika is fine, that he's fine. His friend notices he's only ordered one dish and teases him, asking if he'll be full. Shinya shrugs, explaining that since they'll eat dinner later, there's no need to spend too much on lunch. His friend jokes about how he won't be having any more wife-prepared lunchboxes. Shinya rolls his eyes and tells him to stop talking, but his friend goes on, saying that wives who put so much effort into lunchboxes are rare. He jokes that if he were a woman, he'd never marry someone like Shinya. Shinya laughs dryly. "I wouldn't want to be with an indecisive man like me either," he says, and then his friend brings up Misaki, his girlfriend. Shinya remembers how Misaki and he were best friends in college, just acquaintances really. But his friend insists that Kaho was a rare gem, a woman unlike any other. Shinya looks down, trying to avoid the topic. His friend continues, saying she's a 1-in-a-million person, someone who's never spoken ill of anyone. Shinya's heart tightens as he thinks about Kaho. In the 10 years they were together, she'd never really gotten angry at him, never complained. He recalls her calm nature, her quiet love for him, and how she never expressed possessiveness. He thinks about how hard it was to figure her out, but then he tells himself it doesn't matter. He brushes off the thoughts, telling himself he made the right choice. But his friend's words linger in the air. "You're definitely the type to regret it later." Shinya frowns and asks, how is that possible? She should be the one to regret it, not me. His friend teases him, asking if he's okay with no one making his lunch anymore. Shinya coolly replies that he'll just ask his new partner, Aika, to do it for him. His friend's eyes widened. "You already have a new partner? So, you got divorced because you were cheating?" Shinya sips his tea and mutters, "Yeah, I guess I'm a scumbag." He leaves the table, telling his friend that it's Aika Rin, the woman he's seeing now. His friend is shocked, rushing to catch up with him. "Is it real? Does Misaki know?" Shinya doesn't answer, his mind a little clouded. "I don't know," he says. "Maybe Kaho told her." As they step outside and see their female colleagues, Shinya's friend warns him about the consequences of office romance. "It's forbidden, you know," he says, and Shinya mutters that he's aware of the company's policy. He knows the risks, but he doesn't care right now. As they walk back to work, his friend urges him to reconsider. "Reconsider what?" Shinya asks, his voice hard. Back in the office, Shinya's mind drifts. He wonders if Kaho ever cried over him. He thinks about the last time she did, back in December 2020, when he asked her if she wanted to get married. She had looked at him surprised and said yes through her tears, her face flushed with happiness. He remembers asking her why she was crying, and she'd said it was because she was happy. Shinya snaps back to the present, confused by his own thoughts. Why is he thinking about all of this? He realizes, with a sense of regret, that he's the one who abandoned her. He nods to himself, trying to push the uncomfortable feeling away. But deep down, it doesn't feel good. Back to our girl, after sending the message to Shinya, she feels overwhelmed with emotions. She wonders who the strange call is from when her phone rings. Picking it up, she hears a woman's voice on the other end, thanking her for her hard work. The voice then asks if she'd be interested in publishing her serialized work, Praying to the Morning, which was previously featured in a magazine as a pure literary work. The editorial department has recommended it and wants to release it as a standalone volume. Our girl is surprised and asks if this is true. The lady from the call assures her that the work has been well received in their department and that they would like to work together to make it a big hit. The lady says she will send the relevant schedules and details to her mailbox later, and our girl agrees, her heart filled with excitement. Later that day, our girl heads to the supermarket to buy ingredients for dinner. As she walks through the store, she feels lighter, her steps much more buoyant thanks to the good news from Ms. Kawasaki. She plans to make a Japanese-style dinner tonight, fried chicken and Japanese braised pork. She thinks to herself about how difficult it has been to balance housework and writing lately. The pressure of managing both has made it hard for her to focus on her writing, but she knows she can't neglect the housework either, because she would be angry with herself. However, she resolves that, going forward, she should learn to be okay with balancing the two and let go of some of the guilt. With that, she finishes her shopping and heads home. Once at home, she begins preparing the meal, tasting it as she goes. Just as she's starting to feel content, her phone buzzes. It's a message from Iori, telling her he's just left school and will be back in about 15 minutes. She pauses from her cooking to look at the message, a smile spreading across her face. She thinks to herself how grateful she is that he's taking the time to keep her updated on his whereabouts. In the past, there was never a way of knowing when Shinya would be home, and it always left her feeling uncertain. But now, with Iori, things feel different. Her heart swells with happiness, and she becomes excited to finish preparing the meal in anticipation of his arrival. 15 minutes later, Iori arrives home and she warmly welcomes him, setting his meal on the dinner table. He takes one look at the spread of food before him, his eyes widening in surprise and amazement. "This is a lot," he says, clearly impressed. She looks at him, surprised herself, and asks, "Isn't this common?" He smiles brightly and shakes his head, telling her it isn't common at all. It's very rich and plentiful. He asks if she always cooks this much. She explains that Shinya is the type who likes a variety of dishes. He wouldn't be satisfied unless there were at least 4 or 5 different options on the table. She recalls the time she cooked only 4 dishes, and Shinya had looked at them with disgust, complaining that it was lazy and insufficient. Iori, clearly enjoying the meal, asks if they can start eating now. He takes a bite of each dish, his face lighting up with surprise at how delicious everything is. He looks up at her and, still amazed, says, "So this is what's meant by having your stomach grabbed." He then notices that she hasn't eaten much herself and asks, "Why don't you want to eat?" She looks at him, a smile on her face, and replies, "I just feel really happy. So far, no one has ever enjoyed the food I've cooked this much and praised how delicious it is. Watching someone enjoy the food I made, it makes me feel so happy." Later, after they've finished eating, she's in the kitchen washing the dishes. Iori is standing nearby, just watching her. She turns to him and asks, "Why are you just standing there?" He replies that she shouldn't mind him. He just wants to stand and watch her. He notices how bright and energetic she seems compared to usual and asks, "What good happened today?" She smiles, knowing that he's perceptive, and tells him that aside from being a writer, she also writes novels in her spare time. He looks at her, surprised and impressed. "That's so cool," he says, and then admits, "I'm not very good at it, so I really admire you." She looks at him, a bittersweet feeling washing over her as she remembers telling Shinya, who hadn't even seemed interested or impressed. Iori interrupts her thoughts, asking, "What's the good news?" She blushes slightly, feeling shy but very happy as she says, "My first book is confirmed to be published. This has always been my dream." Iori immediately grabs her hands, his face beaming with joy. "Congratulations," he exclaims. He pushes her gently away from the kitchen, saying that this is a rare opportunity and that they should celebrate together. She smiles, feeling loved and grateful, and thanks him for his excitement. Later that night, unable to sleep, she puts on her slippers and heads downstairs. She goes to the fridge and grabs a bottle of water, pouring it into a glass cup. As she's about to take a sip, she hears her name and turns to find Iori standing in the doorway. She apologizes, asking if she woke him up. He tells her it's fine, that he just wanted a drink. She pours him another glass of water and asks if he can't sleep. He suddenly drops his cup, looking at her with a serious expression. "Come to my room," he says. "Let's sleep together." She freezes, stunned by his unexpected request. He sees her expression and quickly adds that he doesn't have any improper thoughts. He just wonders if she has trouble sleeping alone. He gently suggests that for her health's sake, she should prioritize getting a good night's sleep. If she doesn't, it could affect her work, and she'd end up troubled. She thinks about his words and realizes that not only has he helped her, but he's also allowed her to stay in his place. She wonders to herself that she can't continue relying on him like this forever. He then tells her that if she doesn't want to sleep with him, he won't force her. As he washes the cup in the sink, he asks her to just rely on him this one time. She hesitates but eventually agrees, deciding to give it a try. Together, they head to his room. As they walk, she thanks him quietly, and he smiles, replying that there's no need to thank him. Entering the room, she's struck by how large the bed looks. Iori, already lying down, looks at her and says softly, "Please join me." She walks over, takes off her footwear, and sits down shyly. The bed feels unbelievably soft beneath her, and Iori watches her, glad that she seems to like it. As they both settle down, he reaches over and turns off the light, plunging the room into darkness. He calls to her in the dark, asking if he could hold her hand. She turns toward him, their eyes meeting in the dim light, both of them feeling shy. After a long pause, she agrees, and their hands intertwine. As they lie there, she quietly thanks him for everything he has done for her. He replies simply, saying that he did it because he wanted to, not out of obligation. She asks him if he plans to go out tomorrow, to which he responds that he doesn't have any classes, so he won't be going anywhere. She mentions that now that he's a junior, it's about time for him to start preparing for graduation and job hunting. He chuckles and shakes his head. "That has nothing to do with me," he says. "My goal is to become a certified public accountant." She's taken aback, her eyes widening. "So you'll have to take the college entrance exams, right? That must be tough." He smiles, reassuring her. "Actually, I already passed the exams." She looks at him in shock, utterly speechless. He continues, explaining that, aside from working part-time at the cafe, he also works at a corporate accounting firm. He says that in order to become a certified public accountant, he needs to accumulate practical experience, or he won't be able to officially register. As they lie there, she looks at him, impressed by his ambition. He tells her, "I really want to become an accountant and start working as soon as I can. I can't keep relying on my father's protection forever." She looks at him with admiration, telling him that he's truly outstanding. Even though he's just a student, he's already thought so far ahead. He shakes his head, insisting, "That's not true. I can't even support myself yet. I'll inherit my father's business one day, but before that, I want to gain as much experience as I can as an accountant." As they hold hands, she says softly, "It feels like I'm listening to a story from another world." He looks at her seriously and replies, "Everything is connected to you." She's surprised and asks, "How is that possible?" He reminds her of the promise he made in the car that he wants to become a man worthy of her. He tells her that he'll do everything in his power to achieve his goals, and he hopes that one day she'll just look at him and see that he's worthy of her. She gazes at him, then glances at the clock, realizing it's already way past bedtime. He smiles and says, "Good night." The next morning, Iori wakes her with a cheerful, "Good morning." She jumps up, clearly startled by how early it is, but greets him back, still half asleep. She asks him, "Was my sleeping posture weird?" He smiles, teasing her a little. "No, it was so beautiful that I couldn't help but stare at you in a trance." He then asks, "Did you sleep well?" She nods, trying to adjust her glasses, and he spreads the cotton blanket over her. He suggests that if she's okay with it, they should sleep together again until her sleep improves. She squints at the sunlight streaming in from the window, trying to block it from her eyes. She adjusts herself, then looks at him and asks, "You mean every day?" She thanks him but adds, "Won't it be a bit too much?" He apologizes and moves closer, asking again, looking at her earnestly, "Please sleep with me every day from now on." She's completely speechless, shocked by his words. Our girl, who always worries about being a burden to others or being too dependent, is caught in her thoughts. Iori, seeing her hesitation, smiles gently and tells her, "You don't have a choice." He continues, Please let me decide. You can rely on me, and I want to be the man you can rely on." She looks at him, still speechless, her mind racing. She thinks to herself that he's being so cunning, but then she realizes she's being even more cunning, always taking advantage of his kindness and gentleness toward her. She stretches her hand toward him, realizing that, despite her initial hesitation, she's passively accepted his offer. But in truth, it's she who needs help. And she tells herself that they can't continue like this forever. As she holds his hand, she feels shy, unable to look him in the eye. She says softly, "I've been able to sleep peacefully because of you. I really do want to sleep with you. But I've always been afraid of depending on others, of being a burden. I was scared of being pushed away." Iori reaches out, pulling her close for a hug. She's completely surprised, her mind blank with the warmth of the gesture. He apologizes for what he just did, saying it is because she looked so cute that he simply could not help himself. Hearing his words, our girl understands and wraps her arms around him too. She tells him that all her life she has had to learn the hard way not to trust others. But now being with him, she is slowly realizing that even a small request can bring someone joy. As they stay wrapped in each other's arms, she feels safe, like she can finally let go of all her hesitation. A week goes by. One morning, while having breakfast with Iori, our girl finds herself reflecting on how it has already been 1 week since she started living with him. At first, she had felt overwhelmed trying to juggle work and personal life, but now her work efficiency has improved so dramatically that it feels almost frightening. Her physical condition has become better than ever, and she barely feels stressed anymore. As she takes another bite of her toast, her thoughts drift back to the very first night they spent together, how they had simply held hands and whispered goodnight. It feels natural now, like a quiet ritual between them. She had originally tried to help around the house to repay Iori's kindness, but no matter what she does, she keeps thinking that it will never be enough. As she quietly folds some laundry, she glances over to where Iori is washing the dishes, humming softly to himself with that usual warm smile on his face. She watches him for a while, thinking how he has never once asked her for anything, always treating her gently every single day. Her thoughts are interrupted by a soft buzz coming from her desk. Her phone screen lights up with a missed call from her older brother. She quickly calls back, and he picks up, asking if she is okay and if he could just stay on the line for a bit. He tells her it is nothing important. She laughs softly, asking what it is, and tells him she is doing fine before asking how he is doing himself. He responds by saying that he met Shinya the other day, and immediately our girl feels her chest tighten. She asks what they talked about, anxiety creeping into her voice. Could it be that her brother has found out about her divorce? Still on the phone, her brother hesitates and then asks if something happened between her and Shinya. She tries to act surprised, but fear is already coursing through her. She wonders if she is being tricked. Has her secret already been exposed? 1,000 thoughts race through her mind. He goes on to say that he called her back because she had sounded confused during their last call. He tells her that whatever is going on, if she does not want to talk about it now, he will not push her. But he gently asks her not to keep it all inside and suggests they have dinner together next month, asking her to let him know when she is available. After the call ends, she breathes a deep sigh of relief. In her heart, she knows how caring and observant her brother truly is. Nothing ever escapes his eyes. She is grateful for that, and she makes up her mind that the next time they meet, she will talk to him about everything. Just as she places her phone down, it rings again. This time, it is a call from Ms. Kawasaki. Her editor tells her she has received the manuscript and there is something she would like to discuss regarding her next project. Surprised, our girl asks, "A new work?" Ms. Kawasaki assures her that she does not need to rush and can wait until they finish the current booklet, but she wanted to ask first if our girl would be interested in starting a new series. Excited and honored, our girl agrees and thanks her for the opportunity. Ms. Kawasaki tells her they are looking forward to it and will contact her again later. Our girl feels thrilled. She realizes that she has not even thought about what kind of story to write, but her heart is already fluttering. Shortly after, she receives a message from Kawasaki saying the theme of the new work should be about love. She blinks at her screen and murmurs, "A love theme?" Kawasaki explains that campus romance stories have become quite popular lately, and readers are especially curious since they have never seen a romance story written by a teacher. As our girl washes dishes, she keeps thinking about the conversation. The more she thinks, the more her mind goes blank. Writing about love? That seems so hard lately. Her recent works have had nothing to do with love at all. Still, she really wants to do her best for Ms. Kawasaki. She hopes she can come up with something bright and heartwarming as she arranges the dishes neatly on the shelf. Back at her desk, she sits down and wonders where to start. The first thing that crosses her mind is that she has absolutely no idea how students these days even talk about love. Curious, she types in campus romance and scrolls through the images that pop up. Nothing looks too surprising, but still, she feels like she is peeking into another world. She decides to start studying properly before doing anything else. Hours pass, and there is a knock on the door. It is Iori. She tells him to come in, and he walks in with a smile, suggesting they have some snacks and take a break. He tells her the store manager gave them the snacks. She beams with delight, realizing it has been such a long time since she visited the cafe. Being at Iori's place makes it so much easier to focus on work. She steps out of the room with him, and he serves her the snacks with a warm cup of coffee, telling her not to push herself too hard and to take a proper break. She thanks him and takes a bite, immediately commenting on how delicious it is. As she eats, an idea sparks in her mind. Her eyes brighten. Sitting right next to her is a real-life student. She turns toward Iori with a small smile and tells him that she has something to ask. Looking a bit shy, she asks how young people these days interact with each other. He tilts his head, a little confused, then asks if she means romantic relationships. She nods and explains that she is planning to write a novel about campus romance, but she does not know much about modern students' love lives. Iori visibly relaxes, relieved that she is not talking about a new lover. She notices and quickly adds that it is not what he thinks. He laughs a little and admits he does not have much experience with love, but then he pauses thoughtfully. A moment later, he looks at her and suggests something bold. He asks if she wants to see it for herself, and before she can fully process it, he takes her hand and proposes they go on a date as a real couple. Without letting go, he guides her gently toward the door. Inside her room, our girl stands before the mirror, trying on different outfits one after another. She tilts her head, checking the reflection, wondering which one would be better. Her mind flashes back to the way Iori had asked her out on this date, and after some thinking, she settles on a simple, plain dress that actually looks stunning on her. It feels different from her usual look, but somehow she likes it. As she steps out into the hallway, she stops. Our guy is already there waiting patiently, and the moment he sees her, his eyes widen with admiration. He tells her she looks absolutely beautiful, and if this dress was chosen just for their date, then he is truly happy. She blushes lightly at his words, and together they head out. While walking side by side, our girl turns to ask where they are going. Iori glances at her and says he plans to take her to the aquarium. But then he pauses, wondering if he should have chosen a more casual place. She looks at him, surprised, and tells him she has actually never been to an aquarium before and would really love to go. Hearing that, his face brightens, especially when she gets excited asking if there would be penguins and dolphins. He chuckles softly, assuring her there will be. Seeing her enthusiasm makes him even more certain that this is the right place. Holding her hand, he tells her since this is their very first date as lovers, he will do everything to make sure she has a good time. But in her heart, she's already happy. No extra effort needed. When they arrive, our girl is awestruck. It's not just any aquarium. It is the popular one that always has ridiculously long lines. But today, it is almost empty. Iori suggests they go in quickly so they can enjoy it at their own pace. Inside, she waves at the animals behind the glass walls, smiling so wide like a child seeing a magical world for the first time. Our guy stays close, unable to take his eyes off her. It is not just the sea creatures that are fascinating him, but the way she looks at them. Later on, they sit on a bench inside the aquarium. She looks around and tells him how beautiful everything is. Her tone gets dramatic as she sighs and says it almost feels like heaven. He laughs, then asks her where they should go next. Without hesitation, she says she wants to see the penguins again. He agrees with a smile and stands, offering his hand once more. As they walk back, hand in hand, a group of girls nearby starts whispering to each other, their eyes on Iori. They comment on how handsome he is, wondering aloud if the two of them are a couple, and saying if not, maybe they still have a shot. Our girl hears them and her mood shifts. Her insecurities start bubbling up. She wonders quietly if Iori feels embarrassed being seen with someone like her. She tells him she needs a quick bathroom break and rushes off, leaving Iori confused and a bit concerned. In the restroom, she stands before the mirror, staring at her own reflection. She wonders why she looks so plain and ordinary, why someone like Iori would even want to be with her. She sighs, brushing her hair aside, then tells herself it is rude to keep thinking like this, especially towards someone who has done nothing but treat her with kindness. When she comes back out, she sees Iori standing nearby, but now he's talking with those same girls. She pauses, not wanting to interrupt, but quickly notices something different. Iori looks unusually serious, like he is holding back his irritation. The moment he sees her, he immediately breaks away and walks over, apologizing for the wait. She asks who those girls were and whether he is really popular. He lets out a breath and says he is not popular at all, and she is actually the first person he ever fell in love with. He has no interest in anyone else. Then he winks. Her whole face turns red. They continue on and walk into a new section that feels like being under the sea. She gasps with wonder, saying it is all so beautiful and fun. As they look at the massive tank filled with fish swimming like they are dancing under light, she turns to him and says, maybe student love feels like this, vivid, glowing, and trapped in its own little world. She quickly jots the idea down in her notebook and then apologizes for the sudden stop, saying inspiration tends to just hit her out of nowhere. Iori laughs and says it is time to move on, and they head over to the dolphin exhibit, where the dolphins leap into the air and splash with energy. On the way out, she asks him what part of the day impressed him the most. Iori thinks for a second, then says it was her excitement. It was the cutest thing he had ever seen. Before she can react, they hear someone calling Iori's name. Two guys approach, classmates from his department. They tease him for turning down their invite just to go on a date with his girlfriend. They quickly introduce themselves to her and ask if she goes to their school. She tells them no. They joke around a little before Iori waves them off, telling them they can talk later. After they leave, Iori apologizes for the loud interruption. Our girl quietly notes how unexpected it is. She never thought he would be the aloof type at school. He tells her he is not particularly talkative or gentle. If he seems that way, it is only because she brings it out of him. She freezes, surprised. Wait, she is the only target of that gentle side? Later, they stop at the supermarket. Iori apologizes for dragging her along, but she tells him it is fine. She had things to buy too. They see a married couple shopping together, and Iori quietly says it has always been his dream to go to the supermarket like that after getting married. She hears that and thinks back. She cannot remember a single time she went grocery shopping with Shinya. It was always her, carrying all the heavy bags alone. As they walk home under the evening sky, Iori asks if today gave her any useful ideas. She nods, saying she learned a lot, and thanks him, adding that she feels like she can finally write something good. She turns to him and admits it has been a long time since she felt this happy. He smiles and says he is really happy too. Then he holds up a pinky and tells her to promise. They should go on another date soon. Without hesitation, she hooks her pinky with his and agrees. And just like that, their first date comes to an end. Not with grand gestures or fireworks, but with the quiet understanding that something real has begun. No pressure, no perfect moment. Just two people finding happiness in little things, one step at a time. Want to see what happens on their second date? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe.